Ilia Topuria speaks out and gives an update that I genuinely didn't see coming. Is this good news or bad news or just news? Let's talk all about it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. This is MMA 365, the greatest UFC news YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe, especially because Jon Jones is coming from Albuquerque, New Mexico, Mexico. He's trying to save Mexico, but I don't think that's a good idea. I think Jon Jones is planning global domination, and I need you to help me stop him. The only way we can do that is if you hit that subscribe button. About 92% of you are not subscribed, so if you're watching this video and you enjoy this content, then please consider hitting that subscribe button. Helps me out. Thank you. So, I want to talk about this. Uh, Ilia Topuria teamed up with Adin Ross yesterday in a meeting of the minds, and Ilia gave a big update where he said, talking about the White House card, we all expected Ilia would be fighting Justin Gaethje on that card, but Ilia said that they haven't reached out to him, and that might not necessarily be true. Um, Toria said, it could be me, no one knows. I didn't get any calls, but I could get the call now, and they have a lot to figure out. Now, there hasn't been an official reason why, but speculation is that the UFC does not want a proud American, Justin Gaethje, to get presumably knocked out by Ilia Topuria at the White House. Um, that might not be a good look for the US of A on the 250th anniversary of the country. But yeah, I mean, it kind of is the unfortunate byproduct of when you give um, arguably the fifth best lightweight contender the interim champion belt. I mean, Justin Gaethje got slimed out by Max Holloway. He looked decent against Paddy Pimblett, but he definitely showed holes in his game. And if those holes are still present against Ilia Topuria, then he's getting punished. Just like Volk, Max, and Charles all got punished. So, yeah, it does kind of feel like a foregone conclusion if that fight were to take place. And maybe the UFC realizes that. Um, Ilya also said later on that a perfect scenario for him would be fighting Islam Makhachev at either welterweight or potentially, and I actually think this could be a good idea, um, fighting between 155 and 170 pounds and creating a new belt out of it. Um, yeah, I've kind of been on this train for a while. I mean, I'm a relatively new UFC fan. I started watching in around 2022, but yeah, it kind of is a pretty big leap from lightweight at 155 pounds to welterweight at 170 pounds, and then middleweight all the way up at 185. I feel like there's a zone for a lot of guys who would feel most comfortable fighting around, say, 165 pounds or 175 pounds, but you can't fight at those weights or you'd be at a huge disadvantage. So either you have to fight kind of small in a higher weight class or try to cut a potentially painful, significant amount of weight to fight in a lower weight class. And Islam, I mean, he was a career lightweight, but he moved up to welterweight and he did the bulk. He looked like his same old self at 170 pounds, but Islam is a pretty legit 5'10", 5'11". Ilya is listed at 5'7", and he already looked very bulky at 155 pounds. And I just don't think that he has the room physically to grow, at least healthily or in proper fighting shape, at 170 pounds. So I like this idea. Um, Splitting up 170 pounds and making weight classes at 165 and 175 pounds. Um, it would be a pretty big adjustment and a substantial change, but what better time is it to do that than right now? I mean, the two pound for pound. number one fighters who said that they want to fight each other are in that sort of limbo, and this is the fight that we all want to see, right? I mean, Ilya versus Arman Tsarukyan would be great, but it kind of feels like every single UFC main event over the last 2 years has been building up to this. Like, this is the final boss of at least the first half of the 2020s. Well, it's 2026 now, but you get my point. This is the fight we all want to see, and any way we can make it happen where both fighters would be at least pretty close to their peak performance shape, um, that's fine by me. This is what I want to see. This is what I'm sure many of you want to see. So let's make it happen. Um, if it requires opening up a new division, then so be it. I'm fine with that. Fighters will adjust, but I'd say that this is like the perfect impetus to creating a new division for the UFC. And I want to see this more than I want to see Justin Gaethje get knocked out in round one. So let's go for that. Why not? Um, but yeah, that's about it from Ilia Topuria for now. Um, this does bring more speculation as to what could be next for him. Because I really thought that the Justin Gaethje fight at the White House was a slam dunk, but maybe not. Maybe that fight with Islam really is coming. So I deem this good news. And then the last thing I want to talk about, we do have a fight night tomorrow in Mexico City. Uh, this is just the last half of the main card. I'm going to be honest, I watch a lot of UFC, and the vast majority of the names below this point on the card I've never heard of. No disrespect to them, but these are the fights that I personally am interested in. Uh, Daniel Zellhuber, the UFC has kind of been trying to set him up as a potential Mexican contender in lightweight division. He lost against Michael Johnson. I believe that was his last fight. Now he gets King Bobby Green. I think this should be an entertaining fight. Someone probably get knocked out. Chito Vera gets David Martinez. Martinez, he's a rising bantamweight, and Marlon Vera is kind of at this point settled into the gatekeeper, or like the top 8 of the bantamweight division. This is a good chance to see what David Martinez is made out of. And then the main event, a little bit underwhelming, but Brandon Moreno will be fighting Lonnie Kavanaugh, and Kavanaugh stepping in on short notice for Aspinall Mabayev, but in his last fight, he got knocked out by Charles Johnson, but so did Joshua Van, and he's champion now. So maybe getting colded by Charles Johnson is the best way, the best path to become a flyweight champion. Could be something to think about. I mean, I really don't mind Lonnie Kavanaugh stepping up. In fact, I think it's a great decision for him, because if he loses, then, well, that's what we mostly expected to happen. But if he wins, that's huge for him. He beat Brandon Moreno, who's a bona fide top 5 flyweight. So, yeah, no shade to Lonnie Kavanaugh, but having this as a main event does feel a little bit underwhelming, in my opinion. Also, I do think it's worth talking about. Mexico is pretty unsteady right now. There's violence going on in the country. From what I understand, it's like several hours away from Mexico City itself. But to be honest, I am a little bit surprised that the UFC hasn't called this off or held this card in the Apex. All the best to the people of Mexico. Viva la Mexico. Stay safe out there, especially from Jon Jones, because he's planning global domination. That'll conclude this video for now. Be sure to subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed this content. Thank you for watching.